This is a quick video on how to use Photo Story for Windows. Photo Story is actually pretty easy to use, and it helps you to create a video using photographs or images. You can also choose to narrate it if you want to tell people what's happening in the pictures, and you can also add music to it if you would like to. But because it's called Photo Story, the most important part and the very first step is collecting images that you want to use in Photo Story. I always like to create a folder in my documents that is related to whatever the topic of my photo story is. So add a new folder. Call it whatever that you're working on. If you were working on the American Revolution and you're collecting photos on that, then call your picture folder that so that you can find it easily when you're ready to put your pictures into Photo Story. So that's the first step. You've got to fill that folder with pictures that you would like to use. I'm actually going to go back to the beginning on how you get to this window. So how do you open up Photo Story? Photo Story is in our Applications folder. You can either get to it here or here. They're in alphabetical order. Here's Photo Story right here. As you can see, there are some choices on how you begin. If this is the first time you're using it, or you've used it already but you're beginning a new topic, you would select Begin a New Story. But as you can see, you can also edit a project. If you start it and then have to save it and come back to it later, you can choose this option, Edit a Project. So I'm going to click on the next button because I'm ready to go to the first step. And the first step is to bring in my pictures. This button, Import Pictures, helps you to navigate to that file that you just created. Here's my file, American Revolution. It was in my documents, and as you can see, here are the pictures that I've collected for it. So they're all there. If I want to put them in all at one time, you can select the first one and then scroll down to the bottom and press the Shift key and select the last one, and when you click OK, it brings in all the pictures from that file in one swoop. You can also, though, go back and put them in individually. You can click on them individually and click OK. Don't worry if they're out of order, because you can easily put them in order. You can just click and drag them in the order that you want them. So even if they're not in order in your folder, don't worry about it. You can put them in the order that you want right in Photo Story. You can also do it this way as well. You can have it move back and forth, and you can also delete them. Once you have all of your pictures in, there are some editing things that you can do if you wanted to play with your pictures a little bit. Maybe they're too dark or too light, or you want to add some, you want to correct some color levels, whatever that you want to do. If you want to flip them around, there are some things that you can, some basic editing tools that you can do. You also want to decide whether you want to remove the black borders or not. Okay, you don't have to, but if you don't want those black borders in your video, you can remove them. When you click on Remove Black Borders, Photo Story will actually look through your photos, and it actually asks you, okay, so here's the before picture, here's what it'll look like if we remove the black borders. Do you want to use that picture? And you can say yes or no. Or if you want to do it all at once, yes to all. I recommend doing them individually, because sometimes when they remove the borders, it cuts off some of the pictures. So I'm going to go one by one. So yes to that one. I really think I want to have a little bit of that, more of that skull, so I can actually move it over just a little bit too. And then it'll show me that I do get a little bit more of that skull there in the corner. So I'm going to use that picture and just adjust it just a little bit so I don't get that black border up there, and click yes to that. Yes. And just for time's sake, I'm going to say yes to all so that we can move a little quicker through this. It'll tell you that it has done that. And as you can see, this one did cut a little bit of bent off, so that's an example of when you might not want them to take the black borders out. As you can see, some pictures they couldn't take the black borders out without ruining the picture, so they do leave the black borders in there for you. Okay, you're all done with importing and editing the pictures. So next, The next step is adding titles. You can do this or not. It's up to you. But if you use the title, if you want to do titles to your pictures, you just add them right into the box. Okay, and as you can see, it shows up so that you can see what you're doing. You can change the fonts. You can change the font style and the font size. You can also change color. It shows you a sample here, and you can also change the script. Okay, most of the time you're going to be with Western. And when you've changed whatever you want to change, you click OK, and it will be reflected on the image. You can also choose to have it go to the left, have it stay in the middle, or align to the right. And if you want to move the labels to different points on your picture, you can choose to do that as well. You might only want to put a title on the beginning slide and the ending slide and leave the rest blank. It's totally up to you. After you're finished adding titles, the next step is adding narration. Here's your record button. You'll need to have a good microphone. Make sure you have it plugged in before you press record. Your stop button will also become your pause button. And if you choose to record and you don't like it, you can delete the narration here. It shows you how much time you have. You can choose to go, as you're recording, you can go through the pictures just like this and continuously record. You can also add your narration here. So that you don't have to have it separate. You can actually type it right into your photo story so you can read what you want to say on each picture. Okay, notice how that only stayed on the first picture because you'll type what you want to say for each picture individually. You can also customize the motion. It's kind of like what you do in PowerPoint, your transitions. So you can actually pick transitions as well, how you want the pictures to fade from one to the next. And it shows you previous picture, the transition. There's no previous picture here because this is the first picture in the photo story, but it'll show you how it will appear. You can also choose it to do it automatically, or you can choose a number of seconds to display the transition to. You can slow it down a little bit. You can advance through and customize each individual picture with its own transition. You can also look at it so that you can see what the transition will look like. So once you have, and again, you don't have to narrate your pictures. You can just have a photo story playing. You do not have to narrate them. So once you have picked all of your motions, your transitions, and you have previewed it and you're happy with it and you've listened to yourself speak, the next step is adding background music. You can select music that you have saved. I have some Bruce Springsteen here. If I wanted to put some of these into, if the music fit my photo story, I could easily insert my own music. However, Photo Story also has music of its own. You can pick the genre that you like. You can pick from that genre. You can also pick a style within that genre. And you have some choices with bands and the moods that you want. You can slow it down, speed it up, and change the intensity of the music. Most people usually put it on low or normal, especially if they are narrating their video. You can also play it ahead of time so you can see what it sounds like. And then once you're happy with the music choice, when you click OK, then you'll see the track above. You don't have to stick with one track. You can put in several tracks of music. This just has one, but if you would put in more than one, you would see the tracks would be split. You can change your volume with this slider depending on whether you have narration or not. Now the next step, if you're not finished with Photo Story, you're going to want to save this as, you're just going to want to save the file as a photo story, and you're going to want to put this somewhere in your documents folder. Maybe you want to stick it in there with the pictures that you collected for the project and give it a file name. You can call it American Revolution and then save it in there. So you definitely want to save your project in case you want to go back and edit it. Okay? If you want to save it for playback on your computer and you're ready to create the video, then you'll choose Save Your Story for Playback on your computer, and that will also create your video. So this is where you save your project, and it'll look like this. And if you actually create the video, it'll look a little bit different. It'll actually look like a movie strip. When you click next, it'll start to build your story. It adds all of your music and your narration. As you can see, it does take a little bit of time to build. Once it goes through this process, it'll automatically ask you if you want to play through the story so that you can watch it. As you can see, the music really does add some time to building the story. Almost there. Okay, and then here's your final thing, whether you want to create another story or actually view what you just created. And that's basically it. Good luck creating a photo story.